welcome to Between the Sheets podcast with Dr. Samantha Worthington and Brendan Neal, where we explore all the triumphs and tragedies of midlife and everything in between. Dr. Sam, welcome.
Hi, Brendan. Episode 2.
Giddy up.
Yeah.
We came back.
We did. We made it back.
Right, what are we going to talk about today?
So today we are talking about difficult conversations.
We are. Now, I'm going to jump in here. We are talking about difficult conversations, and we're going to share some stories and experiences.
Yeah, some lived experience.
Lived experience,
That's
yes.
right.
And maybe have a bit of a laugh at
Yep.
ourselves.
Yes.
And we're doing that because we recognize that so many people are out there doing the same thing, experiencing the same stuff, looking for a bit of camaraderie, direction, and we really just don't want them to do that alone.
That's right.
So this space is a safe space. And we're also not going to tell you what to do because we recognize that at this stage of life, at this age, the last thing you need is someone telling you what to do.
That's right. And none of us actually know anyway.
That's very accurate.
Yeah.
All right.
So difficult conversations, Brendan. What was your worst or most difficult conversation that you've ever had?
Oh, my God.
You're welcome to do more than one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think my most difficult conversations have been the ones that I didn't really have. I am thinking of 2 conversations that I probably could have had better.
Okay.
And both were to do with the ending of a relationship.
Okay.
Plural.
Same person? 2 different people?
Yes.
Okay.
2 different. So I'll say marriage.
Okay.
One.
Yeah.
So at the end of, I don't know, when all that happens, right at the end.
Was this the last conversation that you had? Or was this like the defining conversation?
There's 2 examples right there.
Okay.
A defining conversation.
Yeah. And then the last one.
Perhaps my inability to say, yeah,
Okay.
what I truly felt. I'm feeling very open here.
Yeah.
And certainly a conversation during the agreed pulling apart and separation and leading to divorce. Yeah, definitely there.
So did you
And-
not say what you wanted to say during that difficult conversation?
Or
And have you said it since? How long have you been divorced for?
been apart for like at least 8 years or something?
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I
Around
don't want to do the maths.
approximately.
Yeah. I'd have to use 2 hands.
And have you said the things that you wanted to say?
I think I've been awesome at burying, avoiding, neglecting anything
Okay.
to the point of now where it's irrelevant.
Okay. It no longer matters.
You may tell me different
Yeah.
based on current behaviour. That's
Okay.
That's one lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other, I guess, is in finishing a fantastic 5-year relationship, 5-year plus relationship. Yeah.
And that difficult conversation, did you say what you wanted to say then?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Do you want to park that one for later?
yeah, let's park that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's talk about
Can we park all of them for later?
like you've done
Another time?
for 8 years.
Hey, I wonder if anyone can relate to me. Anyone
you
out
know
there
what?
hear me? Can you?
I remember one of my I've had a
Yeah.
few
How about
difficult.
you lead by example here?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I've had a few difficult conversations. So we're talking about difficult conversations with regards to partners, ex-partners, parents, colleagues, bosses, children, right? And friends, family, sisters, brothers. It just keeps going, right?
Wow. I
So-
think everyone can relate to a difficult conversation with every single
With every single
scenario
one.
you've just outlined. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember having a difficult conversation with an about to be ex-partner, and very serious. It was a second relationship we had together. So we had actually had a relationship, broken up. I had gotten married divorced, and then we had a second relationship. And
Oh, that's a podcast in itself. Well, I'm going to write that down. That's a whole episode coming up, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
And then
We'll title that one Soft Landings. Safe Space.
parachuting.
Yeah.
And then having a conversation with him to advise him that I had met someone else. And he had known me since I was a teenager, right? And we had known each other for years and years. And
Hang on, can I backtrack for a moment here?
Yeah.
So you said you had a relationship.
Yes.
And then
Broke
there was
up.
something in the middle.
Yes, there was a marriage in the middle.
There was a marriage in the middle.
I was married in the middle,
Right.
to someone else
And then you had another relationship.
with the ex, right?
Yeah, with that same person.
Yes.
Yep, so this is round 2, we'll call
Round
it.
two.
Round
Yep,
2.
absolutely.
R2. Oh, see what I did there? That's an in
I
joke.
like that, yeah.
Okay, so you went R2.
Yes.
And then you're having a difficult conversation because
Right.
you'd met someone else.
Right. And I had moved to a different state. And so it was a long distance relationship. And whilst I was in a different state, I had met someone else and had the conversation with my partner, my R2 partner, that I had met someone else and nothing had happened. I just had feelings for someone else, right? That conversation was really difficult. And that was a long time ago. That was about 17, 18 years ago. And I still wish I had done that conversation differently.
When you say differently,
Yeah.
do you mean better?
A little bit softer would have been better. I thought going honest and open and to the jugular was the way to go. And we haven't spoken since. So I'm not sure if it was the right way.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
Oh, here's a question for you. Do you think you could have done it better because you're judging the outcome rather than do you think you did it properly and it's irrelevant to the outcome? Like it could have gone, it wasn't up to you to, like the outcome was the outcome, how that was received, the response was a certain way and you had no control over that.
I think I could have been gentler. Definitely.
Gentler.
Yeah.
I've just realised that when I talk to you like this and when we talk about things, you pull out stuff that I've buried
Okay.
way, way back.
I seem to do that with you.
My God.
Share with us.
I have to take a breath for this one. I was quite young. It was the first real love of my life.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was meeting her in a foreign country.
Right.
Yeah. I was finishing off uni.
Yes.
I finished uni on a Thursday or a Friday. Tuesday, I was on a plane. Do you think I was showing signs that I was too keen?
Just a little bit, yeah.
She wasn't foreign. Yeah,
Okay.
She was Australian,
She was
as well.
Australian?
Yeah,
All
went
right.
overseas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our plan was always to meet over there. And I think she was going like 3 months in advance.
Okay.
Now, this is back in the days. Now, you might have to cast your mind back before you can actually cast your mind back to living memory
I'm a little
of this.
bit younger than you. Yeah.
Yes, so you point out. So this was prior to email addresses.
Okay.
This was prior to mobile phones. So there was a letter coming my way from a foreign country and it hadn't arrived yet. I made a phone call. So excited, babe, coming over to see you. Like I was pretty pumped, right?
Yeah.
3 months, you can
Yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
as a
yeah.
young fella, 3
Yeah.
months. I was super
So you were
fit then.
18.
No, I was 20.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
21.
Okay.
I was 21. It's the end of university.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It took me longer.
And
I
were
went
you
to
faithful?
university a couple of times.
Were you faithful during those 3 months?
Completely.
Okay.
Can you imagine that as a
Yeah.
21-year-old?
So you were super excited
I was
to get there.
I was so fit.
You were ready.
I had trained myself down to the bone and lived a monastic life. Yes. And I made that phone call. We had that phone call. I was like, have you got my letter?
Oh.
And I was like,
Was that from her?
yes.
Oh.
So I hadn't received this letter yet. And it was
Okay.
like a week and a half of me getting over there.
Okay.
And the message I got, so you talk about like blunt and straightforward for the
Yes.
jugular and everything.
Right.
So the reasoning I got was like, hey, I'm just finding myself, this is really open. I'm out of my little bubble and, exploring the world and everything. And I just don't know if I want you to come over and us,
Were you on the plane?
Almost, like near enough. Like it's the only thing that kept me together for the end of university. I was pretty much training full time in triathlon, and attended and did a bit of I did a lot of part time work, to fund this trip overseas, right, and live over there. And so anyway, I was about to embark on what I thought was going to be us drifting south down through Japan for 3 months.
Okay.
And a week and a half before, I've got this. This didn't you get the letter?
Yeah. She left it late.
Well, I mean, it must have been like crunch time, hey?
Yeah. So she told you on the phone what was in the letter?
Yes. However, the letter might not have been like completely open and honest the way that you're saying it was. Yeah.
So I have a similar story for you. My grandmother, now this is way before emails and telephone and telegrams and all of that, right? So my grandmother arrived in a country pregnant with my mother and didn't get a letter from the man that made her pregnant that he actually was marrying someone else whilst she was on the ship. So how's that for difficult conversation? She arrived at the dock in the country. Pregnant with my mother.
Your mum.
Yeah. To be greeted by my mother's father.
Expecting to see him.
And he was there with his wife.
What?
Yeah. How's that for a difficult conversation?
Was he Mormon? How did that work? The wife was there?
It didn't work out well.
The wife was there?
The wife was there.
And what was he saying? He said, hey, come down to the dock. I'm going to greet a friend off the boat.
Yeah.
And she like waddles down, like holding a belly.
That's right. Yeah.
Can you grab my bag?
Because now her travel on the ship, right, was a few months.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant
and there's
with
no
my
way
mother.
to correspond.
There's no way to correspond. So how's that for a difficult conversation?
Where was she travelling to and from?
I think Egypt to South Africa.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. So she rocks up.
Yeah.
Pregnant with your mum.
Yes.
To a bloke who's gone and married another woman.
That's right. I've lost both my parents, and I lost my mum about 8 years ago and my dad last year. And that's a difficult conversation. Both of them passed away from cancer, and having that last conversation with a parent or whoever, a sibling, a child, whoever it is, a friend, that's is in that process of passing away, and having that conversation with someone, that's a difficult conversation, because you think you know what you're going to say, right? And you say what you think they want to hear. However, you maybe don't say everything you should say, and once they're gone, you regret it. So that's another difficult conversation for me.
So if you're saying something that you think someone wants to hear, especially someone who's finishing off the end of their life and everything, and a parent, like you've said, is that showing a certain amount of consideration or empathy or just trying to
ease it for them?
My parents are still both very healthy, happy and alive. And I know we're not giving advice here. However, based on your experience, what you've been through, you just said the difficult conversation. You said things that you believe they wanted to hear and probably made them feel really good. Do you mean that you were just talking about the really good things that you had together, or what do you feel is left unsaid? There you go. There's my question.
I think we leave a lot of things unsaid all the time, whether someone's dying or not. Yeah. So when we speak to someone that's dying, we say what they want to hear, and we feel better about it. When we say things to people or we don't say things to people, that are not dying or that are still alive, we probably hold a lot of regret when they move on or when things aren't said. I feel better knowing that I said what I said to both my parents while they were dying or the months leading up to their deaths. However, there are things that, difficult conversations that should probably be had with people that are still alive as well, that we don't have. We don't have them. And then when someone comes to us and tells us they're dying, then it's not the right time either, is it? Mm-hmm. One of the things that I spoke about in my book was about communication being learned. It's a learned behavior. So it's something that we pick up from our parents or our caregivers and our siblings and our peers, and we don't realize that unless we're conscious of it. So by the time we become adults, we don't realize that we have certain communication behaviors that may be toxic or not serving us or not serving the people that we love. Unless you're aware of that and you address it, your communication patterns or your behavior can be quite detrimental. So if you think about, let's go back to conversations that you have had with, your difficult conversations. Avoidance.
I thought we'd buried that.
No, we're back. We're back.
I see no patterns of behavior whatsoever.
No. So let's think about difficult conversations that you have. Do you see a theme for yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What is that theme for you?
Avoidance of conflict at all costs.
Okay.
Suppressing your own needs, desires, wants, if it is going to make someone else uncomfortable.
Why do you think you do that? Where did you pick that up from, do you think?
When you were speaking before, I found it really interesting. One of the things I was thinking of was the dynamics of a family and that learnt behaviour of communication. Mm-hmm. Now, that might be instilled or encouraged in a certain way because you've got a family of, a whole heap of dynamics of different personalities and people together. Yeah. And if you're, let's say, running or you're the leader or you're the authoritative figure in that or figures in that, let's say, parents, in that family relationship, you probably want it to run and work a certain way so that it suits you. And then when you learn those communication behaviours and you start plucking them out and you're putting them into a work environment, into a friend environment, into sporting, into any interaction you have with people, I can see how that would be perhaps a limiting.
Well, think about two human beings coming from different families with different communication behaviors coming together and creating one household. Mm-hmm. I know with my family, right? So we had quite an eclectic family, different cultures and...
What made it eccentric or eclectic?
My mother. So you've got two different cultures, right? And two different communication behaviors or learned communication behaviors coming together in a household with 5 children. And then each one of those 5 children going out and marrying into other cultures and other communication patterns and behaviors and raising children in other homes. So it's quite a mix.
I don't think most people would even consider that. You come out of your family, you meet someone that you're attracted to and or you're going to work or something and you appreciate that people are different and they come from different backgrounds and everything. Yeah. However, when it comes to communication, you probably just lock into what's natural.
Well, what you've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you've learned. What's natural to you, which may not be natural to me or people that you are spending time with. So let's talk about conversations or difficult conversations with ex-partners. You've got ex-partners, you've got children that you share. How do you have those conversations and how do you stay civil when there's resentment and anger and bitterness and all of that between two people? I wouldn't know because I haven't had to have those conversations.
I think
Brendan, over to you.
the mother of my children is quite appreciative if we don't have an open communication line.
You know, ex-partners that you don't have children with, you don't speak to them, right? Unless you bump into them at like the Coles or something.
Yeah.
You don't have to speak to them. There isn't a daily or weekly need to have a difficult conversation.
Yeah, you're not crossing paths.
You don't have
or
to.
anything.
Yeah. So what happens then?
When you have something that connects you.
And like a child, yes.
Children, yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
And you have to have conversations.
That's I've seen this play out so much with friends and people I know and people have come into your life or come into my life, and the ones who've done it very successfully have been able to breathe and separate whatever issue there is and just concentrate on whatever's at hand.
That's very mature.
Extremely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very self-controlled.
I think that's what it takes. I think if you're doing anything when it involves kids, you have to pull your own head into shape and sort of say, hey, there's an issue or there's something that I need to deal with here. And you think about your child first and you hope that your partner would do the same. Oh, sorry, not your partner, but your ex would do the same. And generally you can find that common ground there, I think. However, I've seen many people where the damage that was done beforehand just overrides every rational thought and decision and every word that comes out of her mouth. It's incredible to see the irrational part come out and play. Laird Hamilton is like the most famous big wave surfer. Incredible guy. Amazing guy. His wife, Gabby Reese, is a beach volleyball Olympian, and I'm fairly certain they won the gold medal.
Okay.
She is a very accomplished woman by herself, and together they do some amazing things together. And one of her sayings is something like, go first. So be the first. And she talks about it in terms of with any person, be the first to forgive, be the first to be the bigger person, be the first to compliment, be the first to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And just swallow that pride. And I remember hearing that a long time ago. And for me, that really helped. Yeah. And there is an element of where I just bury stuff and avoid talking about things because it may lead to conflict. And I think it also goes back to the inability I've had to rationally speak to someone when I want to speak my mind, when it's very emotive. And I think that maybe, when I think about it, maybe that's just because I didn't have the practice. I hadn't tried that enough.
Or the tools, right?
All the tools,
yeah. That concept of going first, bringing up things that you want to say, that you are bearing, you have to be very confident in the fact that your partner's going to receive that well. Because you can go first and you can say what you want to say. And if you're dealing with someone on the other side that's absorbing or receiving that information that is not comfortable with it and doesn't have the tools to absorb it and appreciate the honesty, what's going to happen then? It can absolutely blow up.
And then you have to receive that and then not react.
And then
you'll be the same person again. And be okay. I'm not going to sink to that. I'm not going to bite back.
So then where does that leave you? In a position where the person that is not receiving it well or maybe has poor communication tools, you're the one who is the more advanced in communicating, having a difficult conversation. You have those tools now. And then you have a conversation with someone, a difficult conversation with someone that doesn't. And then what happens after that? They receive it poorly. Their response is poor. And you absorb that.
You know what? Just as you were saying that, and I'm picturing a few things in conversations, and I think as well as having those tools, one of the overriding thoughts that you should have about any conversation you have, especially a difficult one, is it's not about points. You're not trying to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, now that I think about it, that's where the basis of a lot of difficult conversations that go terribly come from. It's like, well, I'm going to prove to you that you're wrong, and I'm going to have this moral high ground, or I'm going to out you on something, and when I out you on that, win. I'm actually going to keep pushing on that until you crumble.
Okay, well, that's not love.
Oh, hang on. We're talking about conversation with exes, and you bring up the word love.
I do. Okay. And you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that any partner that you've had, you let them go with love.
Oh, hey, come on.
You have to.
Come on.
You have to. You love them at a point.
That bastard, you know what he did to me? She's a bitch. She's a bitch, I told you.
You
come on, haven't you heard that?
I've heard that.
What happens if it's really valid?
They may be. However, they taught you something, Ryan.
They taught you something, and so you have to love them.
You loved them at a point.
Yeah, but now you're wiser.
You still love them.
You're smarter than that. You're not with them anymore. Come on.
You still love them at a point. And they did teach you something.
Yeah.
They absolutely did. Any relationship, and we spoke about this in our last episode, any relationship that you've had gave you an opportunity to learn and to grow. So
I'm going to use your words there. You said any relationship gives you the opportunity to see yourself through another person's eyes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to be grateful for that, however it ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can take solace in some of those things.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to practice patience, forgiveness. How's that sound?
And then, yes, biting tongues.
Okay, so there's the difference, okay? So let's jump down here a bit and maybe you can help me out. So I've said before about my desire to avoid difficult conversations because I want to avoid conflict.
Mm-hmm. And how did that serve you?
I don't think it served me too great. So how do you rational the balance between avoiding conflict and having that conversation that later on you think you really needed to have? Is that what you were alluding to before when you were talking about, conversations with exes or what's your most difficult or worst conversation?
I think if you don't have the conversation where you share your authentic self and your true feelings and your true desires, then that leads to a lack of intimacy in any relationship. So even if it's between colleagues and you're not sharing your authentic self with them and your authentic thoughts and reasoning and beliefs, then there will be a disconnect. So if you take that to conversations with any family member, or if you take that to a conversation with a partner and you decide that you're not going to share certain things with them, it just eats away at the intimacy between the two of you. That authentic relationship starts to crumble because you're two different people, right? And a conversation isn't about control, and an honest conversation isn't about winning. It's about sharing your authentic self and connecting. And as humans, that's what we do, right? We want to connect. We're designed to connect. So if we aren't having those conversations, it builds resentment, and that eats away at intimacy.
Okay.
And the other person can feel that.
Okay, I can hear what you're saying, and that almost sort of makes me think that makes sense for someone you're going to stay with. But if it's an exit conversation,
okay,
then that may be different. Now I'm going to ask you a question about R2.0.
Okay,
your second round there.
Yeah,
and you had a very blunt conversation, or you were very upfront.
Yes,
and you said you went for the jugular in that you were very open and honest.
Okay.
I'm filling
in
the
You
blanks
said it really
there.
badly there.
You used the word.
Do you know what? I loved that person enough to tell them the truth. and I respected them enough to give them the truth and not sugarcoat it and let them experience the truth so that they could choose what they wanted and how they wanted to live the rest of their lives.
And now you've said that you were probably too upfront and harsh. However, that's not my question.
It could have been a bit softer.
Okay, it could have been a bit softer.
Little bit
so
softer.
an acknowledgement.
Yeah.
You could have.
Yeah, maybe it could have,
You could
instead
have
of a
eased
few
it in.
minutes, it could have been
Compliment sandwich. Hey, we've had a great
Here's a
time.
coffee.
You know, you were so good that I came back after that marriage.
Yeah.
And
He was a great guy. He was a great guy.
Okay.
Yeah. He definitely didn't deserve it to be so abrupt.
any person,
Yes.
you've been upfront and honest. However, like you could have been honest to me, and I would have been a person who've avoided conflict. So I haven't shared what I want to, and I've carried that and I've buried it. I've done something, and you've said that, you know, that leads to a less authentic relationship with
Yes.
others. So this isn't an example of anything. I'm just amazed. My brother owns his own business and has a business partner. This year, or just this year, they have gone 30 years in business together. It's pretty amazing.
It's like a marriage.
It is completely, yeah. And they are both also been married the whole time to the same people.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've all
Just checking.
everything's stayed intact. So I see some similarities there, I think, of how they operate together and how their home lives operate together. And, you know, in business, you go through all the same trials and tribulations and challenges that you have with another person as you do if you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at people, you know, bringing their family communication that they've learned,
Their learned behavior.
their learned behavior
Yeah.
that they may not have been aware of because, you know, they've grown up with that. And then they're applying that to everything else, like their friendship groups, their work environments, their interactions with new people, with where they devote their time and the interaction they have with other people. What would you suggest as a parent with children being aware of this and aware of your own communication styles, the way you've run the family, and then you're like pushing your kid out into the free world and you're seeing things happen, and maybe sometimes you cringe a bit and you go, oh my God,
Yeah.
like I've caused that or something.
She sounds like me.
Oh, she sounds like you. You sound like your mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We all have that, right? I know I do it. Sometimes I'll say something and in the back of my head I'll go, oh my gosh, I sounded just like my mother.
Yeah.
And that not in an endearing way.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
You know, I became really aware of that because when I first went to university, I studied school teaching. And the first time I went on a prac, like getting into a classroom, I went, oh my God, I was just like my favourite teacher. I thought that was the same learnt behaviour.
Yeah.
Except you could get away with what he did back then.
Oh,
like,
not now.
Not when I came through, yeah. So if you see your kids acting out that way or something, any examples of where you've tried to make your kids more aware of what they do?
Definitely. And a great way to deal with that, or how I often deal with things that probably shouldn't be said out aloud because they're nasty, for example, or just aren't, you know, upward and forward, is to question it directly and straight away. So that makes the person who is saying it reassess why they're saying it. And sometimes it helps them actually grow and develop in their learned behavior. So sometimes if my children say something that's not very nice to each other or about someone else, and I'll ask them, hey, do you want to say that again? Why did you say that? And for them to then become conscious all of a sudden about what they're saying, it makes them realize that that communication has been picked up maybe from their peers, and they become more aware of it. So you can do the same thing with a partner. You can do the same thing with a boss.
I've heard you use that line in a work environment.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to say that again?
Do you want to say that again? Yeah. Or why did you say that to me? And or what did you say? They stumble when they have to say it again.
Yeah.
Because the first time they said it, they were quite confident it flew out of their mouth, right? Especially in a relationship. In a relationship, you've got two people, it's highly emotive, something will happen and they'll say something and they didn't think about it. They've become unconscious. And the best way to bring your partner back to a conscious state is to say, could you say that again to me? And that's when the story changes. So if you've got a partner that's really comfortable with saying something nasty to you twice, think about what you're doing there.
Can you think of a conversation that you've had that is really good, really positive, and really connected with someone?
Yeah. So many. I remember having a conversation with my mum after she was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember the day she got diagnosed, I went to go and see her. I left the office and I went to go and see her, and I sat opposite her in this beautiful garden on the beach full of palm trees, and she was sitting in her garden, and she was an avid gardener and she loved roses, so she was in this rose garden. And I remember sitting opposite her, and I said to her, so we had just found out about her diagnosis, and I said to her, Mum, what do you want? Let's travel. Let's go somewhere. Let's, is there anything that I can do for you? And it was really inspiring what she said to me next, and it was one of my favorite conversations. She said, there is absolutely nothing that I want to do. I've traveled. I've had 5 beautiful children. I'm married to the same man that I met when I was 14, and I'm happy. And that made me really look at myself and think, well, when I get to that point in my life, am I going to say the same thing? Because she was content. That was a great conversation to have with someone. No regret at all. Absolute contentment. I remember you and I having a conversation. I don't know how soon it was after we met. We were traveling down to Brisbane, driving in the car, and we were probably talking about
this is on the way back.
Yeah.
And
we were
big day. Yeah.
we were probably talking about something that we shouldn't have been talking about, right? And there was a moment where we just connected and both burst out laughing. And that was a conversation where we were two people that came from different worlds, different cultures, different times, in a car. We'd probably been sitting in that traffic for a couple of hours, and we shared something that connected us, and we had a laugh that I think I felt down into my belly. Talking about conversations that connect, that was one that connected us, I think.
That was a funny one, because many months later, I mentioned that conversation.
Yeah.
And we both felt exactly the same way.
Yeah.
It was like the most real and deep and like body shaking laugh that both of us had for so long.
Yeah.
And
unexpected, right?
Yes, completely. Yeah.
That was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. What about conversations with your kids that stand out? Have you had any of those?
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate that, especially after separating, that even in the young days, like tiny days, like when my first guy was born, Balin, the pregnancy was pretty crazy. Not the pregnancy, the actual birth, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he was overdue, and many other people listening will be familiar with this process. You go in and you get induced, they squirt up a bit of juicy stuff in there.
I can actually see that Balin would be overdue.
Really?
Yeah.
He's pretty cruisy.
Yeah, he's pretty laid back.
The obstetrician was a 20-year-old friend of Balin's mum.
Okay.
Yeah, so this day was always dreaded, right? Like
Okay.
finally, like everything would be exposed, and he'd see the lot, right? And
Yeah.
that they'd been friends for so long. We're in there, the whole birthing suite thing, and we'd said, okay, there's going to be a bit of a water birth and everything. So we were already
All
preempting.
romanticized, right?
Oh yeah, candles, all that sort of stuff.
Did that happen?
Well, close. Like we were in there, and and the lights are down. There's like those little fake candles around and everything. And I might have been hoofing down some food and everything. So I was going to get some change to putting on some boardies and stuff, right? So we were going in one of those big spas, and we're still in the room, and my ex had been in the bathroom a couple of times, and just thought, oh, okay, everything's happening now. Anyway, a nurse came in, and the light went on. And I wasn't in the room, and apparently there was just blood everywhere.
Okay.
Like it was, pretty hideous. And so
she was hemorrhaging.
yes, and I was out in the hallway, right, and putting on, I'd got my boardies on. I was probably like eating some more yogurt or something from down the fridge.
Totally unaware.
Completely man,
Yeah, total man.
Dad to be. And next moment, these nurses are running. Get James. That's a obstetrician. Yeah, and it's like, whatever, 7:30 at night or something.
Yeah.
I knew he didn't live far away. And I've sort of come in wide-eyed, like what's going on, and they're hitting the buttons, and there's things, lights flashing and everything. And anyway, within a short period of time, James is down there, and we're, I'm putting on shoes instead of board shorts, and we're heading, and it was just straight into the lift, and this dude literally crashed out someone else who was going up there in a bed, and he's pushed him out of the way, and in we go, and it all happens. And so I ended up with Balin in my hands for like probably about 40 or 50 minutes while they were fixing Jodie up. And so I just had this like beautiful baby and big eyes looking at me. So my first like really meaningful conversation was then.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And
then was
so,
it just downhill from there?
So from then on, like I looked at myself as like my role in here is to inject all the energy and adventure. I just chose to do a whole heap of things that would make, literally making memory experiences.
Yeah.
So we've had many of those with both my boys and that. So very recently, I took them to Japan. I hadn't been back for 29, 30 years, right?
Since you were dumped.
Yeah. And lived for a couple of years over. I was too embarrassed to come home. Yeah. I was fortunate enough, my younger guy, we connected in such a great way because we were snowboarding and he hadn't snowboarded before. And Balin being the surfer and he had snowboarded before, he was off and hitting the mountain. Sade and I just had this time and connected so really well, which, we hadn't to that extent and that point. And just the three of us, like being in each other's company, like you're traveling around Japan, it's pretty tight traveling, right?
And just the boys, right?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks of that and just fun and adventure and everything. Hey, Sam, a long time ago, I read a book by Dale Carnegie. Mm-hmm. Do you know the book?
I do. How to Win Friends.
And Influence People.
Yeah.
Now, that was quite formative for me as a young adult because it made me really aware of other people and when you speak to them and with them. Mm-hmm. And it made me consider how another person would receive what I say. So that was really formative in the way I communicate with people.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So we can talk about ourselves, right, and how we feel having difficult conversations. However, there's always another person on the other end or other people on the other end. So even in communities, and you and I have spoken about that recently as well, there are other people on the other side of what's being said. And everyone in a conversation, any conversation, whether it's between yourself and your partner or an ex-partner or your children or your siblings or your community, they see things through their own perspective, which is different to yours. So we all have different realities. You have your reality, I have mine, and regardless of how well we connect, we see things through our own realities. And I think it's really important like you mentioned, to take into account how the other person is perceiving or reacting or responding or receiving what you're saying. There's two sides of communication, how you say something and how you receive it. So I think that's super important in terms of things that you really want. How many times have you said something that you really want and it goes on deaf ears?
Yeah. Does that mean you have to set it up better? Or does it really not matter in the end?
Well, sometimes communication takes practice. Maybe you said it really well. Maybe the other person didn't receive it well because that triggered something in them. You know, everyone comes with their own stuff, right? And it takes practice.
Maybe we didn't lay it down and set the
That's
scenery.
a great point,
We
yeah.
didn't set the scenery
Yeah.
for it.
You know, like things like saying, when you're talking about yourself, however you say you instead of I, that's a big one because people get triggered when you say you. If I'm saying, you know, people do this and, you know, when you do this and this, however, I'm not actually talking about you, I'm talking about myself in the third person.
Right.
Yeah. Then I'm completely disassociating any responsibility or accountability of what I'm actually saying about myself. And I'm referring to it outside of myself. That's how I'm doing it automatically. However, the person listening to it is hearing me.
I don't do that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't do that.
Get stuff. Yeah.
Are you talking about you or me? Yeah. So that often brings up some conflict. And I know I've done that. I've done that so many times when I'm talking about something and the other person's like, I never did that. And I'm like, no, I mean, I did it. You lay the scene, like you said, where it's really clear and there's no sort of defensiveness because the other person isn't pointing fingers or blame, then it works out better, I think.
Nothing like a little bit of humour or,
You do that.
bashing yourself up
you
during the
do
conversation to
the
like
humour
let the
thing.
tension go down.
Is that something that works for you? Does it?
Well, I don't know if it works for me really well. I can tell you that in recent past, it's probably annoyed some people. Hey, person.
Does it get to like a point where when you're speaking you think, I'm going to break the ice and you use humour?
Yes. Approach it softly.
Where did you learn that? Because that would have been a learned behaviour.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know who approaches it humorously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've done it when you were a child and it worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, humour always worked. It kept me out of trouble. If people were laughing, they couldn't be angry with me.
Okay. Could they take you seriously then?
I think overall, Sam, if you approach these difficult conversations with an awareness of the other person and with an amount of sincerity and being able to just let go of your own emotions, not let them control you, then it is going to lead to a far better, honest and
Fruitful,
free-flowing and probably more authentic conversation.
You need both of you to do that though.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As Gabby Reese said, go first.
Yeah.
Be the first.
Well, that's us, guys. Between the Sheets, Dr. Samantha Worthington and Mr. Brendan Neal. We will see you in our next episode. Thank you for joining us.